Childhood trauma isn't only what was done to us, it's also what should have happened but didn't. The comfort, the attunement, the feeling that our emotions made sense. Emotional neglect can be quiet and invisible. A parent too overwhelmed to notice, a home where feelings were too loud, or where you learned early to shrink your needs so you wouldn't be a burden. When that happens, love starts to mean earning rather than receiving. We learn to read every small cue, to work harder for crumbs of affection, to take responsibility for the moods of others, just to feel safe. Those patterns didn't form because we were weak. They were intelligent responses to a world that didn't feel safe. As children, we adapted the best way we could by pleasing, performing, disappearing, or trying to fix the people who hurt us. Those strategies kept us alive. They helped us survive emotionally, maybe even physically. But as adults, they start to misfire. The same instincts that once protected us now pull us toward what feels familiar, not what's good for us. We mistake the tension of unpredictability for chemistry. We confuse longing with love because that's how love first felt, just out of reach. So when we find ourselves trapped in the same painful patterns, it isn't failure. It's our nervous system replaying an old story, trying once again to earn the love it never got to rest in. And the work now, the healing, is not to judge ourselves for these patterns, but to understand them. We begin by saying to ourselves softly, "Of course you did what you had to do to survive. And now, together, we can learn a different way to love. One that doesn't cost us our peace to keep." Her name is Alina, 33, kind eyes, the kind of person who remembers everyone's coffee order but forgets her own boundaries. Every relationship starts the same way. She meets a man who seems calm, mysterious, grounded. He texts just enough to make her feel wanted, but never enough to feel secure. She tells herself he's just busy, that he's different from the last one. She fills in the silence with empathy, explaining away every delay, every missed call. On their third date, he mentions he's not great at emotional stuff. She laughs it off, pretending it doesn't sting. A small knot forms in her stomach, but she smooths it over with hope. She's learned to ignore those knots. They always show up right before the part where she starts to chase. She sends long, thoughtful messages. He replies with a thumbs up emoji. She stays up late, wondering what she did wrong, drafting and deleting text. At work, she's composed, competent. No one would guess that she's quietly unraveling. When friends ask about him, she says it's going well, even as she feels the distance widening. Nights stretch long. She replays their last conversation, searching for clues, like a detective trying to solve a crime that keeps repeating. Deep down, she knows this story's ending. Still, she can't stop hoping he'll finally see her, really see her. And once, after another fight about needing too much, she sat on her bed in the dark and whispered to herself, "Why do I keep doing this?" And somewhere inside, an older voice answered, quiet and tired, "Because this is what love felt like." When she was little, her father worked late. Her mother was anxious and distracted. Alina learned early to be low maintenance, to read moods before they were spoken, to smile through disappointment. When love came in short bursts, approval, attention, a gentle word, she clung to them, mistaking scarcity for value. Now, as an adult, her body still recognizes that pattern as home. The distance feels familiar. The unpredictability keeps her alert, alive. Safety, on the other hand, feels foreign, almost boring. When someone kind and steady shows up, she tells herself, there's no spark. It's not that she doesn't want love, it's that her nervous system doesn't yet know how to rest in it. 3 truths hide inside Alina's story. First, when we grow up with emotional distance, our bodies learn to equate love with pursuit. We chase because once upon a time, Chasing was the only way to stay connected. Second, we internalize inconsistency as normal. The push-pull of attention feels like home, so stillness feels wrong. Third, when our emotions were unseen as children, we learned to earn visibility instead of expecting it freely. We mistake being needed for being loved. But there's a quiet shift waiting to happen. The moment we stop asking others to complete the story we began in childhood and start listening to what our own longing is trying to tell us. Healing doesn't mean choosing differently overnight. It begins with noticing, with pausing at the edge of that old pull and saying, I know this feeling, and this time I don't have to follow it. And that's where Elena's story and ours begins to change. Evan was the kind of person everyone admired, reliable, polished, always in motion. He had a good job, showed up early, never missed a deadline. His phone was an extension of his hand, emails, messages, endless scrolling between meetings. He told himself it was just staying informed, staying productive. Nights were quieter, but not still. A few drinks to take the edge off, a show playing in the background. His body was there, but he was somewhere else, floating just above his own life. If you met him, you'd think he had it together. And in many ways he did. But inside, everything hummed with a low, constant ache he couldn't name. He didn't explode or collapse. He just kept moving, always forward, never inward. The moment the noise stopped, the moment the phone battery died or the drink ran out, something heavy pressed against his chest. He'd feel a flash of panic, like he might fall into himself and never come back out. So he reached again for the screen, the bottle, the next task, anything to stay one step ahead of the silence. It hadn't started this way. As a kid, Evan learned early that his emotions made people uncomfortable. When he cried, he was told to be strong. When he was scared, he was told not to be dramatic. So he built a shell of competence, achievement as armor, busyness as proof of worth. He discovered that if he was successful, people smiled. If he was helpful, they stayed close. And when he felt lonely, the best way to escape it was to drown it in motion. Over time, that motion became its own kind of anesthesia. What we often call addiction can look like dedication, discipline, even ambition, but underneath it's often a form of self-soothing, a way to manage pain that feels too big to face. The question isn't why the addiction, it's why the pain. What was so unbearable that being constantly busy felt safer than being still? What part of him learned that feeling nothing was the only way to survive feeling too much? When we look at ourselves through this lens, compassion replaces shame. The scrolling, the drinking, the overworking, they're not failures of willpower. They're strategies the body uses to protect us from feelings we were never taught to hold. They worked once, they helped us function, but now they keep us disconnected from the life we're meant to live. Evan hasn't figured it all out yet. He's just begun to notice the patterns, to sit for a few seconds longer before reaching for the phone, to breathe when the emptiness rises. Healing for him looks like curiosity instead of control. It's learning to ask softer questions. What is the feeling I keep trying to outrun? And what might happen if, just for a moment, I stop running and let myself feel it? Imagine your body as a house with a smoke alarm. The alarm's job is to keep you safe, to alert you when there's danger. But sometimes after too many fires, it becomes oversensitive. It goes off when you just burn toast. That's what happens in us too. When we've lived through moments of fear, disconnection, or emotional neglect, our bodies remember. Even when the mind forgets the story, the nervous system keeps reacting as if the danger is still near. This is what we mean by implicit memory. The memories written not in words, but in sensations, reflexes, and emotions. Maybe you don't recall every argument from childhood, but your stomach still tightens when someone raises their voice. You might tell yourself you're over it, but your body keeps scanning for smoke. It's not malfunctioning. It's doing what it learned to do, protect you, prepare you, keep you alive. The mind and body aren't separate, they're one conversation happening in two languages. The mind uses words, stories, logic. The body speaks through muscle tension, heart rate, breath. When you feel anxious, before a text, reply, or freeze up during conflict, that's not you being dramatic. It's your smoke alarm going off. It remembers a time when silence meant rejection, or when conflict felt unsafe. The alarm doesn't know you're older now, that you have more tools, more support. It just recognizes the echo of an old signal and reacts instantly. One small everyday example, you're waiting for someone to text you back. Minutes stretch. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts spiral. What did I say wrong? Are they mad? You might think you're overreacting, but in reality, your body's reacting exactly as it was trained to. Maybe once, as a child, you waited for someone's attention that never came. The waiting became wired to anxiety. So now every pause feels like danger. Seeing it this way doesn't excuse the pain, but it makes sense of it. And here's the hope. What the body learned, it can also unlearn. The alarm doesn't have to stay hypersensitive forever. Each time we notice it go off and remind ourselves, I'm safe right now, we begin to retrain it. We can teach the body new patterns of safety. Through breath, through slowness, through compassion, instead of judgment. Healing isn't about silencing the alarm, it's about helping it trust again that the fire's out, and over time it will. The first step toward change isn't to fix anything, it's simply to start noticing. Awareness turns the invisible into something we can work with. Begin with a small journal, not to judge yourself, but to observe. Each day, jot down what moments felt activating, what was happening, who was there, what you felt in your body. You might notice patterns. Tension during silence, guilt after saying no, anxiety around certain people. Writing helps you slow the movie down, frame by frame, until you can see the story you've been living. When you notice a trigger, instead of asking, what's wrong with me, try a few gentle questions. What did this moment remind me of? When have I felt this feeling before? What might my body be trying to protect me from right now? This kind of compassionate inquiry helps shift the focus from self-blame to self-understanding. It lets you move from reacting to relating to your own experience with kindness. Then practice one somatic pause each day. It could be as simple as this. Feel your feet on the floor. Take one slow breath and look around the room. Name 3 things you see, 2 sounds you hear, 1 thing that feels steady beneath you. This orients your body to the present moment. It tells your nervous system, I'm here and I'm safe enough right now. Each pause rewires the loop of automatic reaction, 1 breath at a time. Next, choose 1 small boundary to practice this week. Maybe it's not answering messages after a certain hour, or saying, I'll get back to you later instead of rushing to please. Boundaries teach your body that it's allowed to have space. That safety doesn't always come from compliance. Even 1 boundary honored is a quiet act of repair. And finally, reach toward 1 safe connection. It might be a trusted friend, a support group, or a therapist. Healing happens in the presence of safety, not in isolation. Being seen and met without judgment starts to rewrite the old story that connection equals danger or cost. Each of these steps matters because they build safety from the inside out. Awareness brings clarity. Inquiry brings compassion. The pause grounds you in your body. Boundaries restore dignity. Connection reminds you you're not alone. Healing doesn't begin with grand transformation. It begins with 1 small moment where you choose presence over avoidance. If at any point this process stirs deep pain or memories, consider reaching out for professional support. Having someone trained to hold that space with you isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. Healing was never meant to be a solo project. Both stories, the woman chasing distant love and the man numbing through busyness, are really the same longing wearing different faces. Each began as a child, doing their best to survive disconnection, carrying that wisdom into adulthood where it no longer fits. The tools, awareness, inquiry, pausing, boundaries, connection, are how we gently reintroduce safety to a system that forgot what peace feels like. Think of light rising through cracked roots in dry soil.